Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Larry the Cable Guy said it best, and it's very fitting for what's going on right now with the Ebola scare and panic. He said, quote, "Is it just me, or does anyone else find it amazing that during the mad cow epidemic, government could track a single cow, born in Canada almost 3 years ago, right to the stall where she slept in the state of Washington, and they tracked her calves to their stalls, but they are unable to locate 11 million illegal aliens wandering around our country. Maybe we should give each one of them a cow." How true. Good morning, everybody. Zeb at the Ranch. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning, morning. Oh, there we go. Kate Smith, what a great way to start the day. God bless America. Good morning, everybody. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and, of course, some of our great advertisers like Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. This time, a week from today, Gina, we're going to have more or less all the results from the election.
Hallelujah.
And it will all be over. Yeah, that's definitely worth a hallelujah. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Busy, and it seems like it's a never-ending cycle, and I told you, shared with you when we called and talked to each other, I just want to have a day off of just basically nothing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too, honestly. I think after all of this is done and November 4th comes and goes, which, by the way, remember, everybody, get out there and vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
Please let your voice be heard.
Please.
I'm going to take a long nap after that.
I don't blame you. Do we have a pledger this morning?
We do. We have Mr. Jerry Voss on for the pledge and Michael Rogers on for the weather.
Very good. Jerry, the Pledge of Allegiance, quickly, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, well done, Jerry. Thank you. God bless you, my friend. Take care. And right now, we're going to say it's time for the weather, brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. What a wonderful business, and they're so busy helping you with all the Halloween and the Christmas decorations and the repurposed furniture, and they will meet or beat any price on flooring. Yes, they will. You better stop in and see them today, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door, or give them a call at 678-6945, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. And right now, here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Morning, everybody. You got the big S word working its way toward the Magic Valley on Sunday. Otherwise, you got a nice day for today and also for tonight, tomorrow, and day after tomorrow. The weather action is going to take place during the weekend, where you have a chance of rain, and with the temperatures being what they are, the possibility of snow being the forecast, taking place Sunday. I'll stay close to this to give you an update as we get closer to the weekend, but your precipitation months of the Magic Valley are normally December and January. You walked out of October almost virtually nothing, but you might have something on the ground by the time the weekend's over with. But other than that, it's coming. It's just a matter of time, and I'll keep you abreast of it. Other than that, enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Oh, there you go. MichaelRogersWeather.com. Brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design. Check out their do-it-yourself workshops, too. Excellent people. Absolutely excellent in the way they handle things with all your decorations, all your flooring, everything. Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. And look for the blue door. The number to call, 678-6945. We have got a lot of things to talk about this morning, and I want to get into some things that are on a personal note here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to remind you this Thursday, tomorrow, we are going to be over at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley. Please come to our Halloween party and wear a mask or a costume in its entirety. The best mask and the best costume is going to receive a special prize tomorrow at Zeb's Lunch Bunch, 11:30, Denny's Restaurant in Burley. Hey, by the way, don't forget, too, Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 336 South, 450 west of Paul. Number to write on the dashboard of your pickup or your refrigerator, 438-2485. And if you have not got on the list to have your sprinklers blown out for this year, oh, do it. It's going to get chilly. You don't want them to freeze. Then you really got some headaches. So give them a call. Gano Landscaping and Sprinkler Service, 438-2485. Also, real quick, I know I'm hurrying along here this morning, but I need to. I want to remind everybody about Ramsey Heating and Electric. Excellent people serving you. Service is the key word, and if you are getting ready in the morning to jump out of bed, which in some of my friends' cases, like Larry Hudig, it's kind of a groan, push, and he finally gets out of bed. Make sure your furnace is serviced. Make sure that it's running well and efficiently. Make sure that you have a new air filter for it. Well, they've got all of that available to help you at Ramsey Heating and Electric. 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459, where they always provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning to you.
Well, good morning to you, sir.
Well, how are you?
This is honoring your love was yesterday.
All right, what can I do for you?
Did I recall a week or so ago I heard a certain person say the Giants will take it in 4?
No, I don't recall any of that.
You don't?
I must be having some kind of a lapse of memory.
Hallucination, huh?
Yeah, I'm hallucinating on Halloween candy.
Yeah.
No, I remember what I said exactly was this, and these are the truisms. I said that my heart wants Kansas City to win, but my gut tells me the Giants are going to walk all over them. Well, they didn't walk all over them, and tonight I'm certainly hoping the Royals do end up winning the World Series.
Whatever. Anyhow, I will hope that everybody gets out and votes this year, because I'm telling you, I'm getting so sick and tired of these damn lying people that just, it curdles my stomach because of what they're saying about different people and issues and all that stuff.
Well, I'm going to talk about a letter in the paper here in just a minute, so stay tuned. What you said is just absolutely perfect. So, Al, thank you. God bless you, man.
Yeah, I think I know which one you're talking about.
All right, thank you.
Everybody get out and vote, and I'll see you all tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
All right.
I'm going to do a commercial, and then we'll be right back. I want to remind everybody about Senator Dean Cameron. What a great person, and he wants to express his appreciation to the citizens of Minidoka and Cassia County. Senator Dean Cameron, very, very grateful for your support and is honored to serve you. And he cares deeply about Idaho and our community, and he works extremely hard to represent and defend you. And Dean wants you to realize, of course, get out and vote on November 4th. Once again, he urges you to do your patriotic duty and vote on November 4th. And he urges you to vote yes for the constitutional amendment, HJR2. Senator Dean Cameron, District 27, paid for by Idaho Senator Dean Cameron, District 27. There you go. Did I say 27? If I didn't, I meant to. District 27. Boy, okay. I don't want to get it wrong and have Dean get mad at me. There's something I want to say right now, and this is hard for me because he was a friend. My dear friend, Elko attorney Grant Gerber passed away on Saturday. You, of course, have heard him on this program many, many times, as he has been long involved in fighting for agriculture and fighting for ranching and farming. And we had him on the air the last couple of weeks talking about the express route that they were running all the way to Washington, D.C., a horseback, for the plight of ranchers that are losing some of their grazing rights. And I remember vividly, and then this is where it gets a little tough for me, so bear with me, please. I remember vividly calling him on the morning after he had his accident where he received a head injury. His horse had stepped in a gopher hole and tripped and had fallen, and Grant had really severely bumped his head. And he told me, he says, I really got dinged up a little bit here, and my head is really bothering me. Well, they got to Kentucky, and I remember calling him, and he had been to the hospital and had it checked out and everything. Well, unfortunately, it got a lot worse. And on the way back from Washington, D.C., I believe they stopped in Wyoming to have him checked out, and then they absolutely hurried him right to Salt Lake City. And Grant passed away on Saturday. And there will never be, again, a more devoted friend to ranching and agriculture as Elko attorney Grant Gerber. I've known him for over 30 years, and his quick wit and just absolutely his big smile, and he was a lot of fun to be around, and he was extremely knowledgeable. He will be sorely missed. A dear friend of this program, Grant Gerber of Elko, Nevada. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you, too, about Valley White Home and Ranch. They've got the Golden Pumpkin giveaway going on right now with a chance to win a $25 gift card each day. Wow! You better stop in and check it out and see if you can't find the Golden Pumpkin giveaway while you're in there at Valley White Home and Ranch shopping for all your winter needs, all the heaters, the heat tape, propane heaters, propane, all the winter clothing, all the feed for your animals, everything, winter gloves, all the boots, it's there while you're looking for the Golden Pumpkin giveaway of a $25 gift card at Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. You stop in and see those people today. Morning, caller, you're on the air.
Yes, how are you doing this morning, Mr. Bell?
I am great. Thank you very much for your asking.
Hey, it's early in the program, so I have a couple things that I know you have a lot of listeners out there, and I know that you're friends with some of the legislators around here.
I am.
I have two things that I would like to know that perhaps some callers know the information for, and maybe they can call in on the program this morning.
All right, go ahead real quick.
Okay, the first thing I would like to know is what A.J. Belukoff's stand is on the gays and lesbians and where they get their information. And the second thing that I would like to know is I do not understand this proposition HJ2 or whatever.
HJR2.
I would like for somebody to call in and explain what the policy is now and if passing the bill, what it would change.
All right, I can tell you in layman's terminology, because I did the ads, okay, about HJR2, and I am not, and I will not profess to be the know-all, catch-all of the information on this act. But basically what it says is to make sure that the legislators represent you in anything trying to be passed in the state of Idaho instead of like an Obama pen and a phone executive action, and that's to ensure that your voices are heard as constituents through your representatives. And
so that means that somebody just couldn't come up like, somebody couldn't come up like Obama does with executive orders and just shove it down somebody's throat.
You're spot on right there. You've got it right to the teeth. That's exactly it. Now, I want to stress to you that we have had already many, many segments on this program with Representative Fred Wood explaining HJR2. And next Tuesday morning on Election Election Day at 9:06. Be sure and tune in, because we're going to do it one last time so that everybody is completely aware of the mechanics of what it is, what it will do, and why.
Okay, well, I appreciate that, because I love to listen to your program, but I'm very limited, in how much time I can listen, and so a lot of these things I miss, so that's why I brought up.
Well, no, and I always enjoyed talking to you and everything, and as far as Mr. Belukoff and his stand on various issues, I'm just going to give you, this is an opinion program, I'm going to give you mine. I think that this man, and I absolutely have looked through a lot of the information that's been available to all of us in the voting public. I still will go back and use the verbiage that I used over 2 weeks ago on this program on a Wednesday, when I said and I called him a one-trick pony. I think that he, because of being on the Boise school boards, etc., is absolutely a very smart man when it comes to education, but I think he wants to have a tax and spend record of increasing taxes and spending more money, and as you well know, money and issues are not always solved by passing a dollar bill under a table. When it comes to water and wolves and other issues, I think the man is very lax on his abilities, and we need a governor that's much more rounded.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call. God bless you. Hey, don't forget, we're going to be over at Denny's Restaurant tomorrow morning for at noon, 11:30, for Zeb's Lunch Bunch. And we have got something so special. It's a Halloween party, and we're asking you to wear a mask. Some of us don't need masks, do we? I don't. But anyway, the best mask and the best costume is going to get a special prize. And we want to say thanks to Walmart, Hanson Mortuary, Smith's Food King, and Denny's for all the door prizes. And that's going to be tomorrow. And you can stop into Denny's Restaurant anytime. Anytime, 611 Overland and Burley. And look at I got this picture. I'm going to hold it up by the camera right now. Look at that. Oh, the pumpkin pancakes with the hash browns, bacon, and eggs. Oh, boy, the food is great at Denny's Restaurant. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You're going to love it. Let me just take care of something else here real fast, and then I want to talk about a letter in the paper. It really offended me. Snyder Surplus isn't just army and hunting supplies. No, they've got something for everybody. They've got wool blankets for those cool fall nights, and all the sleeping bags for the hunters. Yep, and they got tea tables. Would you like a spot of tea? And they've got, of course, filing cabinets and couches and desks. They've got everything. Brand spanking new location. Yep, they've got that brand new building right there at 112 South, 200 west of Rupert. Same great friendly service, and they're waiting to serve you. 112 South, 200 west of Rupert, Snyder Surplus. Stop in, see them today. Okay, I'm going to talk about this. There's a gentleman, and I use that term very loosely, that over 6 years ago came after me and really wanted to call me a racist and everything else. Lives in Twin Falls. His name is Kevin Dane. And when confronted, he, like normal cowards, will run and hide, which he did. And this morning in the paper, he showed that he's a loose cannon with no ammunition, if you get my drift. And he had a comment in there regarding Treasurer Dennis Crane. Well, first and foremost, Kevin Dane in Twin Falls, the state treasurer is Ron Crane. And Dennis Crane is a Cassia County commissioner. And I'm not blaming the Times News for a typo here. I'm blaming you for writing the letter wrong. And it just absolutely, I think, slammed and slandered a county commissioner that should not have had his name dragged through the mud in this letter. And I think that if you as a Democrat are going to cut down Republicans like you did in this letter, then you as a Democrat should be hauled out to account for your ineptness, your lack of knowledge, and poor letter writing skills. Kevin Dane, Twin Falls. Doesn't have a clue. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think at this time I'd like to ask the lovely Gina to please play Lieutenant Governor Brad Little and HJR2.
Hi, I'm Brad Little, and I'm running for Lieutenant Governor. Idahoans are some of the most innovative and hardest working people in the world. Let's help all Idahoans be job choosers, not job takers, for a better future.
Idaho is one of the best states to do business. With a strong system of education, we can attract more jobs in both traditional industries and new fields like health, energy, manufacturing, and technology.
I'm Brad Little. Let's work together to build strong families, strong career choices, and a strong Idaho.
Hey, Little for Idaho, Tom Johnston, Treasurer.
Vote yes November 4th for HJR2, a constitutional amendment to keep the power of Idaho governance with the people. Vote yes on HJR2 to limit executive power over you and your business. Vote yes on HJR2 to keep your legislators working for your needs, not special interest groups. Vote yes on HJR2 to preserve the voice of we the people for the state of Idaho. Vote yes on HJR2. Paid for by Representative Fred Wood, House Speaker Scott Bedke, and Senator Dean Cameron. Vote yes on HJR2.
Don't forget that we're going to have the Capitol Press Ag Minute in just a moment, but before we do, I want to remind you about old Eli and the rest of the crew at Berry Equipment and Rental, 3 locations serving you in Twin Falls, and of course in Jerome, and in new one in Burley at 159 West Highway 30. They have got all the equipment, the rental equipment for your fall projects. Rent or buy all the equipment you could possibly need is right there at Berry Equipment and Rental. And these folks know, they know the equipment, whether it's the Bobcats or whether it's the Coyote tractors or whether it's the big Doosan loaders or the man lifts, whatever. Man, they've got it all for you at Berry Equipment and Rental. Addison Avenue West Twin Falls, South Lincoln and Jerome, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. It's Berry Equipment and Rental. Here now, the Capitol Press Ag Minute.
The Capitol Press Ag Minute is brought to you by OnlyAg.com.
Total production for pulse crops, dry peas, lentils, and chickpeas in Idaho and Washington was down significantly this year, but prices are on the rise. A major hailstorm and other weather-related challenges in 2014 significantly reduced pulse crop production in Washington and Idaho, which together produced about 85% of all chickpeas in the country and about 20% of all peas and lentils. Pulse farmers in Canada and other states such as North Dakota and Montana have also faced significant growing and quality challenges, and total pulse crop production in North America is down significantly. Prices for new crop lentils and green peas have risen a few cents per pound over the past 60 days.
To receive instant, exclusive, unlimited access to the West Agricultural News Source, register your account today at CapitalPress.com.
What could this administration possibly be thinking? Ladies and gentlemen, I had so many calls last night on my cell phone and my home phone that people are they're outraged, they're scared, they're bitter, they're filled with animosity against Obama and his administration, and rightfully so. What in the world is happening behind the scenes? And this is the question of the morning. What is happening behind the scenes with the State Department? What is happening behind the scenes all of a sudden that's going to be sprung on you and me to where they found a memo yesterday? A memo became public that this asinine, repugnant, unintelligent administration, and I don't care if that offends you or not, is considering bringing non-citizen Ebola patients, let me say that again, non-citizen Ebola patients to this country for treatment. Bringing the disease in its entirety and its dangerousness here to the shores of the United States to be distributed around the country, whether it's in Nebraska or whether it's in New Hampshire or whether it's in Atlanta, New York, whatever, for care at various hospitals. Non-citizen Ebola patients. That, to me, is absolutely asking for disaster. But also, we, the American public, will foot the bill. Now, I've heard various estimates this morning on various newscasts. You probably have heard the same thing, too. That not only would the plane, the special care, the special treatment, and also the treatment here when they get to this country, it could run us, the taxpayers, up a bill of $400,000 per patient. Why? 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 Everybody should be outraged. And don't you give me this song and dance routine about, oh, well, we've got to show the world that we want to help. No. Protection for our borders, our people, and Americans in general should come first. We have seen the ineptness of this administration. We have seen the stupidity of this administration. We have seen the loose-jointed effort of trying to tell us about Ebola when they haven't got a clue on their own. I am so worried about this. I have friends all over this country. I have friends in New York. I have friends all over Nebraska. I've got friends in Jacksonville. I got friends all over this country. God bless them all. I don't want them to be exposed to this any more than I want to be exposed to it myself. Is this some kind of a stupid plan to bring a disease like Ebola that is so deadly and dangerous into this country to diminish us? I know there's people that have the feelings that this is a scheme to bring in and diminish America's value. I don't know, but all of us should be absolutely on the phones right now, calling Risch and Crapo and Simpson and Labrador and saying to them, no, we're not asking you. We're telling you to go and tell the president face-to-face, eyeball to eyeball, no, this is complete lunacy. Or we have to take it a step further and get rid of this president by removing him from office. The safety and sanctity of this country is at stake. We are watching ISIS with terrorism encroach upon our shores and make threats against our various federal buildings and people and soldiers, etc. And now we've got a disease that could absolutely take over the world and run rampant, and they want to bring more of it to our shores? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. This is all part of the change that he sold to the dumb Americans years ago. First off, it's all about the terrorist training camps in the United States he's done nothing with. Now he wants to import all these Ebola people here. That's his way of bringing America down. And of course, we've got the open border where we've got millions of uneducated people flooding our welfare system. This is the change for America.
Tony, you
voted for him. We're going to suffer right along with the rest of it.
Tony, you were the one last night that it was ironic, but you called my home, and we were talking about this issue, and all of a sudden across the screen came the great big story about the State Department and this memo that was leaked about bringing in Ebola patients to be treated here. And Tony, I am so outraged. And I'm going to use this word. There's a lot of people that are going to have spite against me for this, but I am so hateful towards this administration for being so naive and so dumb. We cannot afford to do this. We cannot afford to bring this disease in its entirety and amass problems it could cause with two mistakes, whatever. I do not understand what's going on in this country, but I'm livid against this administration.
Barack Obama will stop at nothing to bring this country down, destroy it, and rebuild it to his liking, to where we have a one-party system in this country, and it will be the dictator supreme. This is the problem.
Well, we have got, I don't even know what to do. I just absolutely am saying that our congressmen and senators all across this country should be demanding that this president use common sense, which would be a first for him. This is lunacy, and the other part of that is the cost factor. Tony, approximately $400,000 per patient. We right now economically have no money left.
Well, I've been to a lot of third world countries in my career in the military, and these people who voted for him have no idea what living under a dictatorship is. But they're going to find out pretty soon.
Tony, I appreciate your call. Very much appreciate your call last night, too. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
God bless you, man. Thanks. This is complete lunacy. Your thoughts. Are you not worried? I am. And don't give me, please, the song and dance routine of, oh, come on, Zeb, there's only been one death. Listen, the potentiality of having it grow and spread like what's happening in Africa is absolutely enormous. Do you want that risk for you and your family? I don't. Re-elect Clark Kaufman as your District 25 representative to the legislature. Kaufman has served on the Revenue and Taxation Committee, Transportation and Defense Committee, and the Business Committee. Deanne, would you take this, please? He is hardworking, honest, and capable. Remember to go vote next Tuesday, November 4th, and exercise your constitutional rights. Vote Kaufman. And, of course, paid for by the committee to elect Clark Kaufman for Idaho State Representative, District 25, Seat B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. And Gina, if you would please, at this time, I'd like to hear, if I could, the words for Senator Jim Risch and State Treasurer Ron Crane. Caller, I'll be right with you. Thank you.
Mitt Romney on Jim Risch. Jim Risch is a person who you can count on to help build jobs, to say no to the growth of government, to say no to the growth of taxes, to say yes to family values, and to stand up for the people of our nation and the state of Idaho. This is a man of integrity, honesty, and character. Jim Risch is the person we can trust to fight for us in Washington. Jim Risch for the U.S. Senate.
I'm Jim Risch, and I approve this message.
Paid Risch for U.S. Senate. On Election Day, Idaho voters should choose a state treasurer with a 16-year record of success in helping improve the lives of Idahoans. Treasurer Ron Crane has nurtured and grown the tax-deductible Ideal College Savings Program, which thousands of Idaho families now use to continue their children's education. And nearly 25,000 Idaho women have gained saving and investing skills through Ron Crane's popular Smart Women, Smart Money training program. Vote Ron Crane for treasurer, experienced investing, protecting Idaho's taxpayers.
Paid Crane for Idaho State Treasurer.
And welcome back. And caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning,
I'm telling
Chris.
you, my stomach is churning just like yours is. I'm afraid we're watching the demise of this country.
What in the world is the matter with leadership or lack of? This is ludicrous to think that this administration could be this A, dumb, B, naive, or C, devious. Pick out whatever one you want in doing something so anti-American.
Well, I think you just said it. He's anti-American. And I truthfully believe that he's smarter than he acts. And look at how he interrupts the process of our government, or else how he holds things back, or he just does executive order. No, this guy has been studying the way things are done in the United States since he was somewhere out there, and he was being tutored by a communist. And this guy, this is in his blood. He's not as stupid as he wants people to think he is.
No, that's true. But here we are, and people, I've talked to people here, Chris, and it makes me so mad. They are so naive, thinking, well, that's back there and we're out here. Listen, we have our food freighted into the grocery stores. We have various other products that might have been touched or tainted. We cannot afford one single stupid mistake, and this government is absolutely brain dead in thinking they can bring in these non-citizens from other countries, treat them at our expense, and have no problems whatsoever.
Well, there again, he's just flooding our system. He doesn't care where they came from. He doesn't care what they're bringing. He and his family are safe and sound in the White House, and they're being protected. The other thing is that I even wonder if he cares that much about his own kids, because they're the ones that are going to have to live through this if they do stay in the United States. But I think this is his plan, and I don't know. But I'm so excited to see these states that seem to be tipping a little away from his blue ideas.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But you know what? Even Idahoans have to get out and vote.
Amen.
And we've got a pretty large liberal segment in our state.
I don't know how. I've got other callers stacked up, but just give me a short answer on that. How can you vote Democrat with anything that leads to the top of the pile that Obama might have anything to do with? I wouldn't even consider Belukoff or anybody else for our state. Good heavens, I don't want any ties to the Democratic Party.
Well, the thing about it is I was inoculated with that conservative needle when I was born, and I've been that way all along, and I don't deviate from it very much. So I think that happens also in the liberal lifestyle or the liberal thinking. If you've been teaching your kids that stuff since they were kids, even in Idaho, they still persist. So we just have to tell our story better.
Absolutely. Chris, I got more calls. Appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street on the square in Rupert. Oh, they've got a bakery that is absolutely delicious. Wedding cakes, cookie bars, homemade bread. Oh, I love homemade bread with strawberry jam. Oh, and delicious cinnamon rolls. And don't forget they're open Monday through Friday, 6 to 6, Saturdays, 6 to 2. Great eating at Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. You're going to love it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Are you there?
Randy, that's you.
Come on, let's go. Randy, wake up. Hang up on him. That's fine. Thank you. We can't wait. If they're not listening, then I can't wait. Callers are welcome at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Was reading the paper, and Belukoff says he can't remember who he voted for president.
Oh, yeah.
And if he's got a memory like that, we sure as hell don't need him in the state of Idaho.
Well, Carl, I don't want anybody with any ties to the Democrats whatsoever. I don't think we can afford anything that might have an influence or a shading of color towards the Democrats or Obama.
Well, I'm with you, Zeb. I think you know that, but I think it ought to be brought out that he did vote for Obama. Obviously, he liked his ideas, and he wants to. Now he's trying to distance himself from Obama, but either he's a liar or he hasn't got a memory. Either way, I don't want him in.
Well, and the other thing is, and I've been criticized for saying this, but that's okay because I'm going to state my opinion. I'll still maintain that if you took education away from his particular platform, the boards are going to crumble and he's going to end up on the seat of his pants because that's his only issue that he's really well versed in. And we need a governor that's going to sit in the governor's chair and know about water, know about wolves, know about the economy, know about all these other things that are infringements coming into the state of Idaho and know how to attack them. I don't want a one-trick pony, and those are the words I've used.
Well, I called him a one-note Charlie. If he was leading a band, it would only be one note.
There you go.
But I do want folks to realize what they're voting for.
Yeah.
And by golly, if the only people I can see voting for him are in Ada County. So. Well,
I hope you're right. And Carl, it's so good to hear from you. Thank you, sir. God bless you. Thank you.
Great day,
weather forecast coming up, and boy, we're going to try the button this morning. Anyway, the weather is brought to everybody by Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert. Nicole and the rest of the crew, oh my goodness, they got custom-made pens, custom-made T-shirts, Carhartt jackets with your company logo and your name on them, buck knives, go over and pick out a buck knife and have it engraved. Oh my goodness, plaques, business cards. What a job they did on my business cards. Absolutely phenomenal. Nicole at Mad River Laser, 502 East Street in Rupert, and right now here is Michael Rogers' weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. Got a nice day for today. In fact, you got a lot of nice days until we get to Friday night. And there's a chance of snow on Sunday, but right now, today is Wednesday, so let's get right to it for today. Sunny, 62 for the high, partly cloudy, 41 for the overnight low. It'll be sunny tomorrow, 71 for the high, so warm up, and then the overnight low for Thursday night will be right around 43. Now, as you work your way toward the weekend, you'll still see another sunny day on Friday, and then as you work your way into the weekend, you're going to start to see some rain, and it's going to carry into Saturday, also Saturday night. Sunday night, a slight chance of rain and snow showers in our forecast. Other than that, I will keep you ahead on what's going on as far as the big S word coming toward the weekend, but enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
There you go. Michael Rogers Weather, brought to you by our friends at Mad River Laser. I love the job they do. Absolutely. They're making more of my Zeb at the Ranch caps and T-shirts and sweatshirts. They are phenomenal. At 502 East Street in Rupert, they moved. Yep, that's their new location, Mad River Laser. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. This just blows my mind to think that we would be on the cusp of bringing in non-citizen Ebola cases. And you and I, not only with the danger of mistakes being made, and believe me, there are many mistakes, our hospitals, our medical staff, and especially the CDC, they were not prepared for this, and they were not knowledgeable enough for this from the get-go. That has been proven. But now to bring in these non-citizen Ebola cases, as the memo said, at maybe the cost in round figures of $300,000 to $400,000 per patient, and we, the taxpayers, are on the hook. I am enraged. I am just absolutely so mad at this administration and this absolutely pathetic presidency. How can they be this way? Another problem to think about this morning is heightened alerts at most of our federal buildings and for personnel. ISIS and the chatter has been going up for the last couple of days, making threats against America. And like I said, many of the buildings and the personnel that work there, and I really get down on my knees and pray before this program that cooler heads prevail, if you will, and there won't be any attacks on innocent people. This is just absolutely ridiculous. The state of the world today, and what's going on with a complete lack of leadership from the Oval Office in the White House, is very disturbing. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, about this Ebola thing, it brings back the adage of I lost my train of thought. Anyway, you take a penny and you double it every day. Mm-hmm. That reminds me of this Ebola thing and where it's going.
It is. That's a good analogy. And when you add to the mix, add to the fray, the lack of knowledge, the lack of understanding, the lack of being very, very cautious, my gosh, heaven help us.
Well, we have one case, but the next one it'll be two, and then he'll infect other people, and it will grow.
Yeah.
Keep these people out. And, you know, I don't think that our insurance companies in America, and people go over to West Africa and are suspected of this, they bring them back to the United States. I don't think the insurance company should have to pay for that.
There may be, and you bring up a very good point. I heard some discussion on this morning earlier at about 4:30. You bring up some good questions. I mean, there's so much that we're unaware of. There's so much that we don't know. Later on this morning at 10:06, Dave Bigo is going to be talking about this Ebola crisis and how dangerous this is with a complete lack of leadership. Keith, always enjoy your call, and excellent point this morning. Thank you very much.
You bet.
God bless. Thank you very much. Gina, if we could at this time, please have the word for Representative Steve Hartkin.
From City of Rocks to the Twin Falls County Fair, this Magic Valley of ours offers tremendous opportunity for Idaho citizens, but we have to work to keep it that way. Low taxes, limited government, responsible financial management. I'm Stephen Hartkin, Idaho House Republican, and I'm proud to represent your Idaho Republican values. I'm running for re-election this fall and ask for your vote on November 4th. I'm House Republican Stephen Hartkin, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it, and good luck to you. Don't forget, huge tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you. Oh, my. Along with the tire sale. And you know they've got all the tires for you. They've got the best in brake service, the best in front-end alignment, shocks and struts. But, you know, you heard Michael a little bit ago, and we're going to start seeing some dips in the weather and changes, and you're going to go out some morning early like me and turn the key in the ignition, and your battery's going to go whoop, 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 and that's it. You better have your battery checked. They've got excellent batteries at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Yep, all 7 locations, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Brulex and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, Twist Family and Paul, John on Poline and Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. The best. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was an ad on television last night. I mentioned these ads yesterday from the NRA, the National Rifle Association. I said yesterday on the program they had some excellent ads, and a couple of them have been with ladies, you know, talking about safety and security. Well, the one I saw last night, oh my goodness, that was, I think, the best of any of them yet, and they're all good. This one last night that I saw featured Navy SEAL John Rasso. And it was about the commitment of our country, our citizens, to serve and fight for our country. Wow. All I can say is wow. It really hit home to me. And it was so dynamic. And I think right now, more than ever before, and I'm not an advocate for the NRA. I'm not a spokesman for the NRA. I don't get paid by the NRA. But I think more than ever before, with everything that's going on, we should all become members of the NRA. I'm very distrusting of this government. I'm very distrusting of its quote-unquote leadership. I'm very distrusting as to world events. I'm very distrusting as to who really is going to try to provide security for us. And it's going to boil down to, I think we're going to have to protect ourselves. And with that being said, I'm going to go back to what I said a couple of days ago. If you are unfamiliar with guns, maybe even afraid of guns, have never owned a gun, have never shot a gun, now's the time maybe for you to reconsider. For the safety and security of not only yourself but your family. Maybe find a gun that is comfortable for you. Learn it. Understand it. Get the feel of it. Shoot it. Understand what it can do and what it can't do and what you need to do. Get a concealed weapons permit. Take the classes. Understand safety and security. More so now than ever before. And these ads are so poignant about Americans being able to protect ourselves and our Constitution. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Gina, have you seen those ads, by the way? I've only got a minute left.
No, I haven't.
Oh, yeah, I really mean this. If you get a chance to have maybe 5 minutes extra, maybe sitting at your computer or whatever, if you get a chance to pull them up on the screen with the National Rifle Association, and especially the one I just talked about, it's a 60-second commercial with Navy SEAL John Rasso. Oh, you're going to get on the air, and I know you're going to tell me that's one of the best ads that you have ever seen and listened to in your entire life.
I will have to get on and look. Now it piqued my interest.
Well, the thing is, what I said a moment ago, I stand behind. I stand behind everything I say on this program, but now is the time for people to protect themselves and know how to do it.
Amen. Amen.
And this country is, because of the individual rights that we imposed years and years ago to band together and form this nation, and we need to make sure that they're protected in the name of our Constitution, and I think we're seeing a dissolvement of that every day.
We are, actually, and we, the people, need to stand up and tell our government, knock it off, because we, the people, are truly the government, and we should be more active.
Amen. Amen. I'll have this good word, and then I'll turn it back over to you. Don't forget, great big Halloween party coming up this Saturday, November 1st. Oh, my goodness, at Four Paws Bed and Bath, 370 West, 200 South of Paul. Number to call, 438-4444. I love that number, 438-4444. And they're going to have refreshments. They're going to have all kinds of goodies. They're going to have special buys on toys and treats and food. All kinds of goodies for you and your pet at Four Paws Bed and Bath Halloween party this Saturday, November 1st from 11 to 3 at Four Paws Bed and Bath. We'll be back in 6. Don't go away. Welcome back. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell. Good morning. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center is our major sponsor, along with some of our great advertisers, and they include Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Thank you, Western Waste Services. Don't forget, get on the route service like we've been on their route service. Once a week they come by with those big trucks, pick up our garbage. It's gone. It's out of there. No worries, mate, as they say with Crocodile Dundee. And believe me, the service is impeccable. Give them a call, 734-6969. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. We got a lot of things cooking this half hour. In just a few minutes, we're going to run to Colorado and have my dear friend Doug Johnson on the line. Stand by also, I want to remind you, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward and his family serving you. You know, they are so concerned about you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one that they know that everything is thrown into turmoil, and they can travel to rural towns and churches, and they can be there when you need them. All you have to do is call them, please, 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert, serving you and your family. Gina, if we could, real quick, before we get my dear friend Doug on the line, could we have the good word for Representative Steve Hartkin?
From City of Rocks to the Twin Falls County Fair, this Magic Valley of ours offers tremendous opportunity for Idaho citizens, but we have to work to keep it that way. Low taxes, limited government, responsible financial management. I'm Stephen Hartkin, Idaho House Republican, and I'm proud to represent your Idaho Republican values. I'm running for re-election this fall and ask for your vote on November 4th. I'm House Republican Stephen Hartkin, and I approve this message.
Oh, thank you very much, Steve. And don't forget, Maxine Bell, representative from District 25A. The midterm election is next Tuesday, November 4th, and District 25 Representative Maxine Bell urges you to go vote. Please go vote, exercise your voting privileges, and be a voice, and be a responsible American patriot. This message paid for by District 25 Representative Maxine Bell. To the good folks of Jerome County and rural Twin Falls County, a proven leader for the Gem State, Maxine Bell. All right, a very dear friend, and I am anxious to visit with him this morning, and that's, of course, Doug Johnson in Colorado. Doug, good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, Zeb. How are you this morning?
Doug, I'm not going to beat around the bush. Yesterday was a day of real trial and tribulation for me because I was so enraged and so incensed with almost, and I'll use the word because that's how I felt, hatred against this administration for what they are doing or not doing about Ebola and its crisis. Now, let me state where I'm coming from, and I think you'll agree with me. The insanity of not being prepared, the absolute amateurish attitude with the CDC and the way that the White House and now their Ebola czar, Klain, he hasn't even showed up to the meetings, and then having a memo leaked yesterday from the State Department that said they may start bringing in non-U.S. citizens here to the United States for treatment of Ebola. I lost it. I cannot handle this ineptness anymore.
Well, I guess I'll start by saying I don't believe it's ineptness, as I always say.
Yep.
I know they reported that 3 weeks ago that they were going to bring patients from other countries into our country, but now we have documentation of it as of yesterday.
Yep.
I guess I go back, Zeb, to what I put out in my blog a couple weeks ago when I said I believe there's an ulterior motive behind Obama's doing these things. I think his plan is to do things that will achieve two goals, short-term and long-term. Short-term, I believe it's to collapse our healthcare and economic systems, and certainly something like an Ebola disaster in this country could help to do that. Also, if it hits below our southern border, we would see such an influx of illegals. It would be unbelievable. The crushing weight on our healthcare and our economic systems, our welfare systems, would be huge, which would then allow the progressives to go ahead and usher in a new system and dump the free market capitalist system we have. And long term, I think it does fit in with Agenda 21 that George H.W. Bush signed into law, and all the other presidents since then, including Obama, have pursued Obama at the highest level, which their long-term goal is population reduction. And we have to understand that the Ebola czar that Obama just put in stands for population reduction, even through the use of disease. So I think it's a very evil motive that is behind this.
I am not going to argue with you at all. As a matter of fact, there are so many tangents available for discussion on this. But we, the American public, are kind of like the spider caught in the web right here. And we're bearing the cost. They estimated, Doug, that it would take about $400,000 per patient to bring them in. And you, Doug Johnson, myself, Zeb Bell, are on the hook as American taxpayers to do this.
Well, absolutely. You know, our government, and it's not just the president, the Republicans and Democrats both spend actually, they make drunken sailors look good in the way they spend. It's absolutely out of control. We have no money. We are a bankrupt nation. We keep saying, and I've even said it too, we're a wealthy nation. No, we're not. We're a bankrupt nation. We spend more than we bring in. We are broke, and this has got to stop. And the sad part to me, Zeb, is that we as voters dropped the ball earlier this year when in the primaries we didn't change a lot of candidates that would be running next week, that would be up for election next week. Instead, the vast majority of incumbents stayed. Now, there are some good incumbents, don't get me wrong. I wrote a piece this morning on HorseSenseBlog.com about the lies that Reince Priebus put forth this week about amnesty when he tried to make it look like, to the voters to rally the base that the GOP is going to stand against amnesty, and I clarified what he said because he did not say the GOP will stand against amnesty. He only said they would stand against Obama issuing an executive order for it. And this is a classic example of the party does not listen to us. The voters are very clear they do not want amnesty of any sort, and the party does not listen to us. And that's just one issue. Ebola is another one. The border is another one. ISIS is another one. The list goes on, and you and I can spend all day just listing them. And what's upsetting to me, and I think probably to a lot of people who listen to your show and who are actively involved, is that so many Americans are so out of touch and not paying attention. And we need to grab this government by the shoulders and shake it hard and give them a solid look in the face and say, knock it off or we'll replace you.
Yeah,
and
Doug.
They don't understand that.
I totally agree with what you're saying, and these are words that I've said for a long time, and maybe a little bit rougher jargon. But they're not listening. I don't care who it is, if it's your senators or congressmen or if it's mine from the state of Idaho, they're not listening because they're so bent in keeping their jobs, keeping that mahogany desk, keeping all the social circles back on the Potomac. They're not listening. I am at a complete loss, Doug, as to what to do to get their attention. This is lunacy, and we, the American people, are suffering for it.
I guess I'd say two things. First, in the big picture, the long-term picture, as you probably saw when you read the book I sent you, The Leadership Secret.
Yes.
I outline in there that the number one character trait we must have in our leaders is they must be willing to do what's right regardless of the cost to themselves.
That's right.
And we don't have many people that do that. And so that means we need to take action to replace them. But obviously that can't be done in a day or two. It goes through election cycles and all that. So in the short term, I think we have to rally the people around us, those of us who have a platform. We schedule meetings with those who listen to us and say, look, we're going to go and we're going to sit on this senator's or this representative's office doorstep on this date, and we're going to let them know that, this is going to change or we're going to replace them. And that kind of pressure, basically we have to become a thorn in their side. And because that's really the only power in America we have, which is far more power than most citizens of most countries in the world. But it still is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. Short of violent revolution, nothing much happens overnight.
That's true. Now, you mentioned voters and you mentioned voting a little bit in your verbiage earlier, but I want to narrow it down. Already, with the early voting, we are hearing so many stupid stories of the liberal left trying to control it. We've heard about voter machines, that, you go in and punch a button, and for some strange reason, they vote Democrat instead of the intended Republican. We heard a story about a Florida pollster that a lady walked up to a gentleman and said, you're not going to be allowed to vote unless you take your cap off. The cap said that he was an NRA instructor, and she wouldn't allow him to vote because she said he was having a political message at the polls. The lunacy that's going on in this country, Doug, is just mind-boggling.
Well, it is, and there's two things. One is, and let's start with the lady who confronted the guy with the NRA instructor hat on. I absolutely disagree with her. But if we want to avoid those situations, we need to think ahead and make sure that we show up in force to vote as we need to vote. We need to watch the machines carefully, because as a blog post I wrote earlier in the week says, this whole crisis of voter fraud is out of control. But we probably need to be careful what we wear. As much as I think we have the right to wear what we choose, as opposed, obviously we can't wear a button that says vote for so-and-so. But let's take away their chance to even make an issue out of it. When I wrote my blog earlier in the week about voter fraud, a couple hours after I wrote the blog, and people can see it when they go to horsesenseblog.com, because I highlighted it in red at the very end of the blog post. A couple hours later, I got an email from a reader telling me that he programs these systems. He knows what they are. Since 1984, he's been doing it. And he said that they don't need calibration. That's a smokescreen. And that they actually are improperly and intentionally constructed to convert most or all votes to Democrats.
Right.
And that really doesn't surprise me. When you add to that the other things going on, I'll give a great example. There's a new movie out, Rocky Mountain Heist by Michelle Malkin. If your if your listeners have not seen it, look it up online. It's RockyMountainHeist.com. Find out when you can watch it. Great movie, well worth watching. And in it, she talks about something we're aware of here in Colorado. When they took over Colorado, the Democrats, they changed our voting laws. So now listen to this, Deb. I mean, this may be the most shocking thing I think you can hear about a voting system. In Colorado, the law now states that if you lived in Colorado 22 days, you can go to any polling place, you can register to vote on Election Day, and, for example, I live between Denver and Colorado Springs. Let's say I go to the other side of the state. I go over to Grand Junction on Election Day. I can walk into a polling place and say, I'm planning to move here. They will hand me a ballot, let me vote right there that day, and if later they check and see I didn't move, I just have to say, well, I changed my mind. Mm-hmm. The potential for voter fraud is huge. Plus, in addition to that, every single registered voter in the state is now mailed a ballot, whether they want one or not. James O'Keefe, the famous undercover
investigator came in here to see what was going on, and he went to the Democrats in disguise, and he said, these are mailed out, and a lot of people will just go to the polls and vote, and they'll throw their ballots away. If I find these things in trash cans, what would happen if I just, use them and mail them in?
Absolutely.
And he was told by the Democrats, go ahead and use them.
Yeah.
This kind of stuff going on in our country is absolutely unacceptable, and the Republicans should be standing up screaming bloody murder, saying we're not going to do this, and I personally think we should be throwing out these stupid voting machines, going back to paper ballots, because at least you have a track record you can go back and check.
And Doug, we talk about this, and in the next election, hopefully if you and I are still able to be on the air, we'll be talking about it again. But I'm like you said earlier, I'm ready to get the short end of the necktie of our leaders and start cinching it up tighter and tighter until they look like a red-faced thermometer, because I am absolutely frustrated. I am so incensed with anger that they're not earning their job.
Well, they're not, and I don't mean to take a rabbit trail here, Zeb, but I just have to. What you just said and the way you said it about them becoming a red-faced thermometer, you really got to write that book. Your way with words is so good. I mean, you got to get that book done. I didn't mean to take a tangent, but your way with words is excellent, and America needs to hear what you have to say.
We have a caller with a question for you, Doug, so if you have trouble hearing it, let me know. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
Yes, there's a lady running for Secretary of State, I think, in Idaho, and her name's Woodings, and she's kind of a cute thing, but in her ad, she talks about making sure that there is no restriction to anybody to vote, and it's just like, it's like, secret speak, so the people that understand it would realize that she's just for them, for the people that, like you say, that are going to vote for Democrats only, and you're saying, this thing is right under our nose. We in Idaho think we're somehow, insulated from this kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, it's flowing into Idaho as bad, not as bad as it is in Colorado, but it's here, and it's a scary thought. Then I'll hang up.
All right, thank you very much, caller, and Doug, respond, please.
Yeah, well, first of all, yes, Colorado is at the forefront of stupidity nationwide in many things. I think the legalization of marijuana may have affected too many minds of too many people.
Amen.
But the flip side of that is that the caller couldn't be more right, and I don't just mean Idaho. Every area is in danger, and it is very, very important that we be actively involved. With pressure, we can make a difference, but it takes that. It takes diligence and pressure. The situation we talked about, I think it was last week, up in Coeur d'Alene, with the husband and wife who have the little wedding chapel. Now that the city is backing off because of the challenge to it, and that's because of pressure being put on. Now, ultimately, will they win? I believe ultimately they'll lose. I believe ultimately we're going to lose all of this nationwide. We're going to be forced to do things that we don't like because we're seeing our country go downhill too fast. But I want to be wrong, and if enough people stand up and stand against these things, I think we can see change. Because the one thing we know, especially Republicans, they are very afraid of losing their jobs, as you said earlier, Zeb. And voters, if we show them by experience that we will throw them out, they will listen, and that's what needs to be done.
Doug, real quick, I'm down to the last 3 minutes due to the fact of our commercial base right before the elections, but I want to ask you, I'm afraid, very afraid, as I've taken calls from New York and around the country, and I've called a lot of the think tanks. They still are saying that it's going to be hard to break the 30% turnout for next Tuesday's election, which is despicable. What are your thoughts about the voter numbers next Tuesday?
The voter numbers, I think, will be low typically because midterms don't tend to generate the numbers, although the good news, there was a poll this week that 70% of Americans are angry about where our country is headed. And that is good news because anger often drives people to the polls, especially conservatives. And also there was a poll out this morning. Harvard did a poll of students, 18 to 29-year-old millennials, and found the majority of them would prefer to replace the Democrat Congress with a Republican Congress. So that is Democrat Senate with a Republican Senate. So that is a positive sign. But we talked a minute ago about voter fraud, and I don't breathe easy because that could push this election. I personally believe the reason Obama won in 2012 was not so much people staying home as it was voter fraud.
Absolutely. Doug, the very best to you. If you get a chance later on today, give me a holler at my office. I want to visit with you for not more than a couple of minutes. I'm going to be stuck indoors all day filing paperwork. If you would give me a call, I'd love to visit with you.
Sure, I'd be happy to, and it sounds like your office looks like mine. So.
Okay, Doug Johnson, my dear friend in Colorado, God's blessings to you, and as always, thank you for your insight this morning. We appreciate it, and I'll be in touch. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Zeb. I'll talk to you later.
Colorado, Doug Johnson, and I always look forward to having his political insight on our program. And right now, we're going to tell you a little bit about Representative Fred Wood. Running unopposed for representative in District 27. Fred is the chair of the Health and Welfare Committee and on the Resources and Environment Committee. And believe me, he wants to thank all the people of District 27 as he protects Idaho's water and creates a positive economic effect and environment for the state of Idaho. And he also urges you to go vote on November 4th and vote yes for the constitutional amendment, HJR 2, paid for by Fred Wood for House seat number 27. Gina, could we please have HJR 2?
Vote yes November 4th for HJR 2, a constitutional amendment to keep the power of Idaho governance with the people. Vote yes on HJR 2 to limit executive power over you and your business. Vote yes on HJR 2 to keep your legislators working for your needs, not special interest groups. Vote yes on HJR 2 to preserve the voice of we the people for the state of Idaho. Vote yes on HJR 2, paid for by Representative Fred Wood, House Speaker Scott Bedke, and Senator Dean Cameron. Vote yes on HJR 2.
Thank you very much, and don't forget Representative Clark Kaufman, a Filer area farmer and businessman, is running for re-election for state representative in District 25. Kaufman has leadership experience with multiple statewide organizations and received the Friend of Co-op Award from the Idaho Co-op Council in 2014. He thanks you for the privilege of serving as your representative the past 2 years. I'm going to choke in a minute, stand by, and ask you for your vote in the November election. He encourages you to vote and be registered. Clark Kaufman, paid for by the committee to elect Clark Kaufman for Idaho State Representative, District 25, Seat B, Debbie Kaufman, Treasurer. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a man in the studio I'm anxious to visit with, and we're going to have him on the air in just a few moments. Stand by. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Well, if you didn't, maybe you have a little problem with your hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, Mount Harrison Audiology with Christine Pickup. One of these days I'm going to choke and not come back on. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, Christine Pickup, Doctor of Audiology, 1218 9th Street, Unit 2, behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room. And you should call this number, 312-0957, and have a hearing screening. Hearing loss is not a part of aging, and I suggest you call her today, 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing. You give her a call, and did you hear that? Thank you very much. Gentlemen in the studio, I don't think we've ever met, have we? Pull that microphone over by you real close, straight, right in front of you. And you got to get real close like you're either kissing your wife or girlfriend, whichever the case might be. And we have with us Battalion Civilian Liaison Officer. I'm getting this right down to the brass tacks. And he is Second Lieutenant, and his name is Rusty Satterwhite, right?
Correct. Good morning.
Oh, it's nice to have you on the program. With the Idaho Lightfoot Militia. There's been a lot of talk about the Lightfoot Militia, and good, bad, or indifferent. What is the Idaho Lightfoot Militia, and what's the purpose?
Well, the Idaho Lightfoot Militia is a constitutional militia that is set up for community people to serve the community in the event where, through natural disaster or what have you, the resources of the police departments and civil services are stretched or non-existent.
Rusty, may I call you Rusty?
Yeah, go
Or
ahead.
do I have to go with the formality of lieutenant and stand and salute and everything? Rusty, who are you sanctioned by, or are you a group unto yourself?
We are sanctioned by the Lightfoot Militia, which was started up in Lewiston, Coeur d'Alene area. But most importantly, we are sanctioned by the United States Constitution and the Idaho State Constitution. That's what gives us our position and ruling.
How many of the people around the state of Idaho are members of the Idaho Lightfoot Militia? Do you have quite a strong membership?
I honestly don't have an answer for that. I know we currently have, trying to think, every county is set up for a militia, and it's by county. Last time I checked the state, I don't want to misspeak, but I'm thinking we have 23 different counties in the state have a organized militia or are setting up a militia currently.
Rusty, why did you join? I mean, what was the need for you, Rusty Satterwhite, to become a member?
Community. I saw things happen around the nation with Katrina, with the blackout in New York, with earthquakes happening on the West Coast. I was like, our police officers are doing a great job. But they don't have the manpower and the resources and the money to maintain the community and civility in a time of need. They just don't have it.
Now, Rusty, will you, and caller, I'm coming, don't go away, but now, will the Idaho Lightfoot Militia work in conjunction with or next to other law enforcement agencies?
Yes,
Okay.
we have to. And the reason being is it's set up through the Constitution and the way the militia is set up. Our chief commanding officer, first above our own commander, is the county sheriff. He is our highest elected official, and that is who we have to answer to. So under his authority, if he wants us to work with the local police, the sheriff's department, and enforce through them, we do that. If he wants us, or if he chooses for us to do some other civil duty, that's what we do.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to get a little closer to that microphone. Caller, go ahead with your question, please, for Rusty Satterwhite.
Yeah, Rusty, this is Dan Jensen. I'm interested in being part of the Lightfoot Militia. Is there one currently organized in the Mini-Cassia area?
Mini-Cassia, I do not know currently. I will give you my email, and it's...
I can't write at the moment. I'm driving, so are you at Zeb's place?
Yes, he is, and he's in my studio, and if you want to call me after the program, I can give you Rusty Satterwhite's email. I have it right here.
Well, I'm out and about, and I could swing over to your place and talk to you face-to-face. I'd sure like to have that.
All right, after this segment is over at 10 o'clock, that'd be fine. Thanks, Dan.
All right, thank you.
Buddy, thank you. Rusty, is there, and be honest about this with me, is there friction from any law enforcement or any other aspects of the state against what you're doing on behalf of the militia?
Locally, no. We have a very good constitutional sheriff. He believes in the Constitution, and as long as, we follow the Constitution and not along the lines of what some people are afraid or fear a militia is, then we're fine. Now, there are other sheriffs throughout the state who do not hold a constitutional ideology towards the militia at all. There's a couple up around the Ada County, Boise County areas, and those sheriffs have a extreme negativity towards the militia.
Let me ask you this, and then I'm going to do a commercial break. I've got a lot of them with the politicians running right now. But what about the newspaper story that was in the Times News? Now, I'm going to give you my perception. You can tell me I'm wrong, okay? And then we'll talk about it. I honestly thought that the perception I got from the Times News article is that they were almost not mocking you, but making kind of a jocular statement about you and the militia as if it was a waste of time and energy. Did you get the same perception I did?
Very similar. The problem with a lot of people, especially with news outlets, when you get to a certain level, like the editorial board, you have a certain set of arrogance. And unfortunately, with the militia, there's a lot of bigotry towards that ideology. For a news agency, specifically the editorial board, to come out and say the things that they said without ever even knowing the militia, without us ever setting up a meeting.
I agree.
And anything. It was just really absurd.
What is, if you were to put it in one phrase, and then I'll do the break, but if you were to put it in one phrase as to what the militia is and why it was formed and why you wanted to be a member and encourage others to be a member, what is it?
It's to maintain civility and social order in the community.
Okay. So if there's an outbreak of, let's say, ISIS in our area, it could happen. I think people are way too naive that we are immune from any attacks. That you as a group would be an agency that the local county sheriff could depend upon for assistance.
Correct.
Okay. And what are your numbers here on a local basis? I think it said it in the article, and I don't have that in front of me, but how many people are members here in Magic Valley?
Members who have actually taken the oath and have passed the background check for Twin Falls County, we currently set at 8 members.
8 members. And do you want how many?
We would like to have a command staff of 6 with at least 2 squads of 10. So we're looking at about 25 would be what we would like to see for the Magic Valley, or for Twin Falls County.
Okay, and you said background check, so it sounds to me like you're very regimented as to who can be a part of this organization or not, right?
Absolutely, we have to be. Because the term militia has a lot of connotations.
Right.
And militia can be for good or for bad. I mean, you have, under the definition, the ELF, the Earth Liberation Front, is a militia. These are people who go out and they bomb and they burn things.
Right.
That's not what we're about. We do not want people who want to cause disruption. We do not want people who are against civil order. In order to ensure that, we have a very rigorous background check, as well as a personal check within the battalion ourselves. We also, we watch for things. If someone comes into our meetings or into our training and says, you know what, hey, I just found out how to make some explosive or something like that, our first obligation is to take their name and report it to the Sheriff's Department.
Now, when you say the Sheriff's Department, we've been referring so far to Twin Falls County Sheriff Tom Carter, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what's his attitude as far as you, Rusty Satterwhite, and the rest of the militia members, and looking towards you in case there's an emergency where he needs extra manpower? Do you think he will call you?
I don't know. I believe he will. At this point, I need to speak with him person to person, kind of sit down. I'd like to have him come to some of our meetings so that we can discuss this with him. But he has mentioned on multiple occasions that he stands by the Constitution, and because we are aligned with the Constitution, I believe that if he sees the need in the community where his resources are stretched thin and he needs that additional support, I believe that he would.
Would you do me a favor and just kind of keep this in mind? We're going to run some commercials, and I'm going to have a break right now. We're visiting with the Second Lieutenant Rusty Satterwhite of the Idaho Lightfoot Militia, 83rd Battalion. And here's the question I've got. What type of person or what kind of credentials do you want for people to join the militia? And I'll have you answer that after this break, okay? Gina, at this time, if you would play a good word for Senator Jim Risch, I'd certainly appreciate it. Gina, if you're there, could we please have the word for Senator Jim Risch?
Mitt Romney on Jim Risch. Jim Risch is a person who you can count on to help build jobs, to say no to the growth of government, to say no to the growth of taxes, to say yes to family values, and to stand up for the people of our nation and the state of Idaho. This is a man of integrity, honesty, and character.
Jim Risch is the person we can trust to fight for us in Washington. Jim Risch for the U.S. Senate.
I'm Jim Risch, and I approve this message.
Paid Risch for U.S. Senate.
Don't forget, when you think about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, or employee benefits, always remember our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Very accessible and devoted to serving others for your insurance needs. So please pick up the phone and give them a call, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert, serving you. Also, a lot of fall savings at your Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Carpet, they've got rolls and rolls and rolls of carpet, and at prices that you can't pass up. And along with all the fall savings, don't forget, just prior to Thanksgiving, dinette sets at prices very low and economical for your family to invite all the neighbors and the relatives over. And don't forget, too, mattresses, king mattresses for the price of a queen, queen for the price of a full. You're going to save a lot of money in enhancing the comfort and the beauty of your home at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. On the line with Lieutenant Rusty Satterwhite of the Idaho Lightfoot Militia. And I asked you the question before the break, Rusty. What kind of a person are you looking for? I mean, what are the requirements in membership?
Basically, the requirements in membership is simply to pass a background check, which we use a concealed weapons permit can also be used for background. If you can qualify for that, then basically it's our inexpensive route because the police forces have already done the background checks and verified that you're not a criminal.
Absolutely.
But just people who are willing to learn basic skills, first aid, and things like that, willing to work within a unit to provide and maintain civil order in the community. Basically, community-minded citizens that are willing to provide their services for the community.
When you get together now, how often do you meet? Is it like once a week, once a month, whatever?
We have official meetings once a month, and they're open to the public. And then in between our monthly meetings, we have our training meetings where we do first aid, communications, and whatever different skills that we need as a unit and things that we can provide the community.
Now, it says that you are a second lieutenant. Now, I'm assuming that you run under the stature of like our military in the selection of who's going to be the captain, the corporal, whatever. Is that true or not?
No, we have the same military structure. However, we go more through a electoral process rather than years in service and experience. If you have the ability and the experience to lead and you want to lead, then you put your name in as a commander, and we basically go through an election process. You present your case, why you'd be a good leader, and we elect a leader.
I see. Okay, caller, good morning. You're on the air for Rusty Satterwhite. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Rusty. You have not said on age limits. Some of us old farts who were in Vietnam and Korea. Are we eligible to go, or are you sticking to the 18 to 60 or that area that was in the original Constitution?
We do not have an age limit. There are a lot of different aspects of what we do, and we don't look at like your physical abilities, because we see that there are a plethora of different things that could happen, and those needs that we want to fill within the community could be food production or distribution, logistics, medical aid. And we recognize that, especially in an agricultural community like Twin Falls, the ability to produce food and the ability to transport food and water and those kind of things, that knowledge and that expertise comes from a wide range of age, and usually the older the person is, the more experience and the more skills they can bring to the table.
All right,
okay,
sir.
Another question.
All right, go ahead, quickly.
So you said that the Twin Falls Sheriff is working with you. What about Jerome? What about Wendell? What about Gooding? What about Oahe? What about Minidoka counties and some of those? Can you check into that and tell us where they are?
I can check into that. Actually, there's a web page. Again, anybody who wants information can call Mr. Bell and get my email, and then I can link you up with whether there is a unit currently operating in your county, whether they are starting a unit, or anybody else who's like-minded in the community that wants to start and organize the militia. And there are a set of guidelines that you have to follow regarding how many members you need to start, and also the oath to the Constitution, and so on. There's a very, very strict methodology on how to start and maintain a militia.
All right, caller, thank you very much.
Where's your meetings usually held, and what time?
All right, one last question. Go ahead, Rusty.
They're generally at Perkins Restaurant, 7 o'clock, and different days.
All right, sir. Thank you very much for your call. I appreciate it, Doc. God bless. Have a good day. Rusty, it sounds to me like you just made the comment a minute ago that age is not really a relevancy, and nor is state of physical being, whether they have a handicap or a physical challenge, whatever. They might be of need and necessity to help out with the program. Is that right?
Absolutely. The human mind is probably the biggest asset that we have. Now, there are some things that within our unit, there are different skill sets within the squadron, and if there is, a need for patrols, then you, of course, cannot do a patrol-based requirement if you're in a wheelchair. But Ada County, I think it's Ada County, they have a member in a wheelchair, and he serves as their logistics officer and orders their uniforms and goes through all the stuff that they have on supply.
Rusty, why do you think, and then after we answer this, I've got a weather forecast, but why do you think there's such a negative connotation across the board, not just here in the state of Idaho, but across the board when you mention that you're the member of a militia? Why? Why is that so negative?
Because most people in the current news set, you think the militia has not been very positive. I mean, there's a lot of very negative organizations that call themselves militias. If you look at the Ukraine, the first combat in the Ukraine was between pro-Russian militias and pro-Ukrainian militias. There was not an actual combat. So the news agencies in the past 60 years have given more negative addressing to militias than they have positive. And we've lost that understanding of what a true constitutional militia is.
When we come back from this weather forecast in this break, Rusty, explain to us why, in your opinion, you think now more so than ever before, militias are that important to have and structure in the community. And we'll answer that right after this. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems, whether it's gas furnaces, air conditioners, or heat pumps, right through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. Got a nice day for today. In fact, you got a lot of nice days until we get to Friday night. And there's a chance of snow on Sunday, but right now today is Wednesday, so let's get right to it for today. Sunny, 62 for the high. Partly cloudy skies, 41 for the overnight low. It'll be sunny tomorrow. 71 for the high, so warm up, and then the overnight low for Thursday night will be right around 43. Now, as you work your way towards the weekend, you'll still see another sunny day on Friday, and then as you work your way into the weekend, you're going to start to see some rain, and it's going to carry into Saturday, also Saturday night. Sunday night, a slight chance of rain and snow showers in our forecast. Other than that, I will keep you ahead on what's going on as far as the big S word coming toward the weekend, but enjoy the day, enjoy the weather, stay on the weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps all through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Gina, at this time, could we please have the good word for Secretary of State Lawrence Denny? Thank you very much.
Idaho's right to vote is critical. We need a steady hand to guarantee that right against pressures from the federal government. Lawrence Denny is that steady hand. His hand served our nation in Vietnam. His hand tilled the soil in rural Idaho and made crucial decisions as Speaker in the Idaho legislature. Lawrence Denny knows our values. He can carry on the tradition as Secretary of State. Protect your right to vote with experienced hands. Vote Denny for Idaho Secretary of State.
Hey, Denny for Idaho, Rick Howard, Treasurer.
Thank you very much. Don't forget, let's ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. That is where the fun is sold. Boy, if you're into snowmobiling, better get over there and check out the 2015 snowmobiles in stock and all the accessories. Into ATVs? Well, boy, there's plenty of time left for the ATVs and all the accessories to head for the hills and have some fun. And don't forget, they've got a great service department, too, always being able to take care of you and your needs. Stop over there at Let's Ride Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. Definitely where the fun is sold. Rusty Satterwhite, Lieutenant Colonel in the Second Lieutenant. I advanced you way up the ladder there.
Thanks for the promotion.
There you go. I gave you a promotion and a bigger uniform and everything else. Why is it, in your opinion, so important now more than ever before for the militias?
Right now, in our the world that we live in, there are a lot of organizations, very organized, very armed organizations that their agenda is to disrupt our society, disrupt civil order.
Absolutely.
And you throw in with that Mother Nature, our own ethnic and political diversities that we have currently going on, and then just the basic structure of our society. We're no longer people who are the majority of us are not farmers and ranchers that should something happen, you can sit on your property for a month and you have everything that you need. Mm-hmm. Right now, most of our cities are very, very dependent on the logistics to bring in food. The civil side of things to bring in water and sanitation. Those are very centralized. And when you look at, the basic structure of our society and our basic needs being under one localized area or one localized government agency, it makes us very susceptible to Mother Nature and to those organizations that really wish to do us harm and break up our society.
Rusty, I've said for a long time on this program, and I'll stand behind my statement, that a lot of people don't realize the constitutional value of a quote-unquote county sheriff. He is the man. He is the power for that county. And he is the man that can delegate the authority and the power, not the feds, but the county sheriff. And a lot of people don't realize that, do they?
No, they don't. We've ever since around the 1940s, 1950s, we've had a social move towards federalism.
Right.
And having, it doesn't matter what you have down the ground locally, it's what Washington does. Washington will protect you. Washington will, do this kind of stuff. And as we've seen with Katrina and a lot of other instances, the bureaucracy there takes too long, or they don't necessarily do it right. We need to move more towards we take care of ourselves. And the sheriff is the one who we need to look to, not Washington, because they're not going to get to us in time.
That's right. What is not yours personally, but the Idaho Lightfoot Militia creed or motto? What do you think, if you were to sum it up, you'd tell the audience is the motto or creed of the militia? There's a lot of dead air there for a second.
I was going to say, it definitely have to come back to members serving the community.
I see. Serving the community and helping others, right?
Yep.
In a time of crisis and need. And right now, I have also said this on my program many times, and maybe I mentioned it earlier in this program, I don't think there's a more pressing time to become more aware of how to take care of yourself and protect yourself and your property than right now today. We're seeing instances to where people need to realize that maybe they need to check out a gun. Maybe they need to check out becoming members and owners of a concealed weapons permit. These are all things, like you said earlier, we can't rely on the federal government.
Absolutely. What brought me to the militia as I looked at possibility and probability. The possibility of anything happening massive snowstorms, earthquakes, flooding, ISIS, Earth Liberation Front,
Animal Liberation Front. They've caused many trouble here already.
Exactly. In conjunction with basic just civil disorder.
That's right.
If you look at Ferguson, Detroit, all sorts of places that really disrupt society and disrupt what it is that we have worked 200 years to maintain for our society and for our standard of living. And, any one of those things is probably not probable, but it's possible. But when you take and you group them together, and the analogy that I use is if you take a dart and you blindfold yourself and you throw one dart at a dartboard, the probability of you hitting the bullseye is not very high.
That's right.
But if you grab a handful of 20 and you throw them, the chance of one of those hitting, the chance of one of these disasters or one of these events happening that's going to disrupt our society, it goes up exponentially based upon the possibility of any one of them.
And you're there to help on behalf of the Idaho Lightfoot Militia.
And that is our job.
All right. I've got to interrupt here and do a quick commercial break, and then we're going to wrap it up with Rusty. And I want to have him back because we've got a lot of questions we have not yet asked. I want to remind you, Senator for District 24, Lee Hyder from Twin Falls, the best always stand the test, and Senator Hyder would like your vote on November 4th. He is a man that's been devoted to Idaho and serving you. Vote for Lee Hyder, Senator District 24, and this man has been very instrumental in helping get many, many bills passed in the legislature to help defend us here in the state of Idaho, along with the limits on payday loans, authorizing the concealed carry of firearms. This man has been instrumental in serving you, and he wants to continue serving you. November 4th, vote for Senator Lee Hyder, District 24, paid for by Lee Hyder for Senate, District 24. Gina, quickly, could we please have another good word for Senator Jim Risch?
Mitt Romney on Jim Risch.
Jim Risch is a person who you can count on to help build jobs, to say no to the growth of government, to say no to the growth of taxes, to say yes to family values, and to stand up for the people of our nation and the state of Idaho. This is a man of integrity, honesty, and character.
Jim Risch is the person we can trust to fight for us in Washington. Jim Risch for the U.S. Senate.
I'm Jim Risch, and I approve this message.
Thank you very much. And I want to just say this quickly. Rusty Satterwhite, and the official title, Second Lieutenant Rusty Satterwhite of the Idaho Lightfoot Militia, 83rd Battalion. Rusty, come back in the future, and I'll give you a longer segment after we're done with all the political announcements. And would you do that and come back and explain more about the militia?
Yes, I'd like to.
I would love to have you back on. And in the meantime, do you mind if I mention that phone number that you left on your sheet for me? Can they call you, or would you rather not have them call?
Actually, I prefer the email.
Okay.
That number is I use for work. It'd be best if I didn't.
Okay, real quick, I'll give the email over the air, and it's resatterwhite@gmail.com.
Correct.
Okay. Rusty, thank you so much. God bless you for coming on the program.
Thank you.
We wish you the best. Thank you. We're going to take a break. ABC News coming up next. I'll be back in 6. Welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch and hour number 3. Glad you're with us. Thanks very much to our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. Before we go to our guest, I want to remind everybody about the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, my goodness, today, Chipotle and lime chicken on a spring mix salad with soup for just $9.95. Ooh, it's good. Great specials, great menu. You're going to love the people and the atmosphere right there at the Chadwick Sports Grill. 139 West Main in Burley. And again, Chipotle and lime chicken today on a spring mixed salad at the Chadwick. Oh, and ladies and gentlemen, real quick, I'm going to ask Gina if she would play the good words for Senator Jim Risch and State Treasurer Ron Crane.
On Election Day, Idaho voters should choose a state treasurer with a 16-year record of success in helping improve the lives of Idahoans. Treasurer Ron Crane has nurtured and grown the tax-deductible Ideal College Savings Program, which thousands of Idaho families now use to continue their children's education. And nearly 25,000 Idaho women have gained saving and investing skills through Ron Crane's popular Smart Women, Smart Money training program. Vote Ron Crane for treasurer. Experienced investing, protecting Idaho's taxpayers.
Tate Crane for Idaho State Treasurer.
Like most Idahoans, Senator Jim Risch shares the bootstrap roots that gives our state its independent character and strong values. Born into a working-class family, his dad, Elroy, was a lineman for the telephone company. Helen, his mom, worked in the school cafeteria. They stressed the importance of hard work and perseverance. He wasn't handed an education. He worked his way through college, working in kitchens and harvesting peas in the Palouse. Close to the U of I, where he earned degrees in forestry and law. He has served Idaho as a prosecuting attorney, state senator, lieutenant governor, and U.S. senator. Unimpressed with D.C. politics, Senator Risch fights the status quo and stands firm on the principles and beliefs expressed by the people of Idaho who sent him to Washington to represent them. On November 4th, let's make sure Jim Risch continues to fight for Idaho values in Washington.
I'm Jim Risch, and I approve this message.
Paid Risch for U.S. Senate.
All right, thank you very much, and welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to go to the phone lines and go back to Indianapolis, Indiana, one of my dearest friends and CEO of Executive Management Services, and also a great author of The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Your Doorstep, and blog writer. Whew, what else does he do in his spare time? Good morning, Dave Bigo. How are you?
I'm doing great, Zeb. How you doing?
Well, we got a lot of things to talk about this morning, and your blog that you had written the other day is very, very pertinent. You had it titled Ebola Strategy Revealed, and then yesterday we heard that there was a memo from the State Department saying that possibly they might start bringing in non-U.S. citizens with Ebola to be treated here in this country. David, this is insanity.
Well, Zeb, it is insanity, and it just tells you the agenda of this administration and his puppeteers, as I call them, the big labor bosses and Soros and them. They don't care about the American people. It's about their own agenda to, especially with these elections coming up, to try and hold the Senate and then ultimately take over control of this country.
Dave, with the circle of friends that you have, I don't care if you're at your office, if you're at the golf course, or if you're just having dinner with folks, what's the general attitude and feeling right now about Ebola and the introduction of the disease into this country in a very uneducated manner with the CDC and the lack of knowledge from this administration?
Well, Zeb, the big concern I have is that people aren't taking it seriously, and they're not really talking about it that much. And, when you do get them to talk about it, most of them understand that it's crazy and that the common sense thing would be to, just as I mentioned in my blog, is that we need to shut off our borders, close them down, and restrict flights in from affected areas around the world. But, it's just, Zeb, I hate to say this, but it's kind of like my experience with the labor union bosses. They go out and they do this kind of stuff to get people riled up and to further their cause and, misinformation and all this kind of stuff. And knowing that a lot of people are just busy in their daily lives and don't pay attention. They just listen and say, oh, the government must be right, or the labor unions must be right.
Is it a naivete on the behalf of the American people right now, or a dumbing down effect that they don't understand the seriousness of this nature? They don't understand what's coming across our border. They don't understand that this administration really isn't working to help and keep them secure. What is the problem? I mean, if this was 30, 40 years ago, I don't think we'd be looking at this problem because the American public would not stand for it.
Well, like I just mentioned, Zev, I think a lot of us people are just so busy in their daily lives that they're not paying attention to it. And then when you dig down into it, most of them don't understand the seriousness of this problem. And I don't know if I've ever told you, but I've got a master's degree in microbiology, so I have a feel for this kind of stuff. What concerns me, and it's not the outlandish things that they talked about on Fox, where ISIS may infect some guys and bring them over here and have them blow themselves up in a mall or a public area where there's a lot of people. What bothers me is what could silently happen behind the scenes, and that's they get a lot of these people infected and bring them across the border, and they go into areas where there's a lot of people, and they just start touching things, door handles and tabletops, things like that, counters, and faucets in restrooms and all kinds of things. And what people don't realize, and it's starting to come into play. The doctors are starting to say it, so is the CDC, is that this stuff can live outside the body for long periods of time.
Right.
And you have people doing that, and you got other people touching the stuff and picking it up and touching their mouth or their face or something like that. Well, we could have mass infection across the country.
Dave, I just don't understand, and I keep going back to this point. I don't mean to drag it through the mud every time, but why would this administration or any administration even think about bringing non-citizen Ebola patients to the United States at taxpayer expense? I heard an estimation this morning that it might be $400,000 per patient, and we're footing the bill. I'm outraged over this, but nobody else seems to care.
Well, Zeb, it goes back to, and I've talked to you about this on your show before, is that number one, just backing up here with the elections coming up, the administration doesn't want to offend the black population by not helping these people. He doesn't want to offend the Hispanic population by closing down the borders, because, they need the votes here in this election coming up. And then he doesn't want to offend the unions by shutting what potentially could be, a big outbreak, and the unions, like the SEIU and the nurses unions, could be putting on a lot of new members or unionizing a lot of new members over this, which is obviously money in their coffers. And but taking it further than that, something like this just adds to the what I've talked to about in Cloud and Tiven before, is bringing down this country, collapsing it economically, or through some type of event like this, and then taking over and declaring martial law. It just seems like this is where we're headed.
Yeah. Dave, what can we do? Now, I know that we're all supposed to go to the ballot box next Tuesday. We're all supposed to vote as American citizens. We're all supposed to pick out the best candidate of our choice. But I still feel that our voices are not being heard. I don't care if it's Republican or Democrat. I still feel like I'm so outraged right now. I want to go up to a lot of politicians. I was talking to Doug Johnson from Colorado earlier this morning, and I said I want to grab the short end of their necktie and turn them into a red-faced thermometer, because I'm outraged at their lack of doing anything. What is it going to take to have the politicians start listening to us?
I don't know, Zeb. I'm as frustrated as you are and as Doug is, and I know Doug very well. And when I get in front of the politicians, I'm very forthright about that. They need to go on the offensive, and they need to start getting things done for Americans and not for their political futures. And I think Americans need to wake up and wake up fast. And the first thing we got to do is take back the Senate and impeach this president, and then we got to go after all these things, and we got to start, slashing costs and controlling our borders and providing opportunities for jobs through encouraging business and stuff like that. And if we don't do that, we're in trouble.
Dave, in your blog, and I read it religiously and highlight a lot of the high points that I want to discuss. You started one paragraph and you said, obviously, from a political perspective, the administration views closing the borders as unacceptable. Dave, This is a sovereign nation. We are citizens of the United States of America. The government is supposed to take care of our security. What do you mean unacceptable? We should be demanding those borders are closed.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and that's what I mean by unacceptable. But this president and this administration and the Democratic Party does not see it that way. They see it as they need to retain power, and the only way they can do it is by retaining the Hispanic voting base, and they're bound and determined to keep it open and bring these people in. And like I say, God knows what else is coming across, and God help us if what I talked about earlier, the potential for infection, widespread infection through this country happens because these borders are open.
You know, you made an excellent point in regards to the SEIU and psychological warfare and trying to force unionization of businesses and employees. This is nothing more than just dirty politics, is it? It's just dirty Chicago union politics. Am I wrong?
No, you're exactly right. This is all about their agenda, and, you know, as I've talked before, unions are failing, membership is down, and they're desperate, and they're going to do anything they can to revitalize themselves, and if it means at the expense of the American people and massive sickness and death, they don't care as long as they achieve their goal, and their ultimate goal, and I've seen this with labor bosses, is control. And it's the same way with this administration.
Dave, we look around all the problems of the world, and we talk about the Ebola crisis and how it seems to be enlarging like a cancer in our country. But then we also look at ISIS and the threat that's been made to Canada, and now the threats here to this country, and an administration that will not call it what it is. They won't mention the word terror. They won't mention the word Islam. They won't mention the word jihad. What really is the matter with this administration? It almost makes one think and believe, like we talked about earlier, that there is a joining at the hip with this administration and the bad guys, because they certainly won't denigrate them.
No, they believe in a world coalition, and they believe in the fact that everybody should be equal and everything should be fair, and that, you know, it's not our job as America to stand up and fight, and, you know, they look at us as the bad guy, not the good guy. And, you know, this is just a ideology that they have, and the American people just, they put this rhetoric in such flowery words that a lot of the American public buys into it. They don't understand that the larger role is, again, I'll go back to what I said earlier, is ultimate control. You have everybody under your umbrella doing the same thing, you know, getting paid about the same on government benefits and that. It's easy to control them and control the world.
Dave, final thought here this morning in regards to whether you live in Indianapolis, Indiana, whether you live here in southern Idaho, it doesn't make any difference. What can people do to basically protect themselves and their families and hopefully create a common sense in this country? We need to get back to the basics. We need to get back to a government that works for us. I mean, what can we do?
Well, we got to go out, and we've got to, as American citizens, we got to start demanding that you recruit people that really care about America, and their goal isn't just being politicians for life. We need people that go in, are articulate, that want to work for the American people, get things accomplished, and then go on their daily lives doing something, you know, their regular job. And, you know, I've been advocating that for a long time, and we got to do it. And the only way you can do it is you've got to get in front of these people, and you got to talk to them, and you got to put pressure on them to do that. And I've found out that when you do, you can get rid of some of these people that all they care about is their own future and their own political future.
Mm-hmm. Final thought, Dave. We've already seen early voting. We've already heard of early voting fraud with some of the machines that, ironically, somebody went in and pushed the Republican button, but it came out strong Democrat. It looks like they will go to any length or any depth to sway this election. How concerned are you about voter fraud next Tuesday?
Oh, I'm very concerned, especially in states that where Nevada, where the SEIU has members that take care of the voting machines. I mean, that's where you see stuff like this happen. And the other instance is in early voting by mail. I can guarantee you, because I've had members of the SEIU tell me that they had people actually come to their homes, SEIU members, and beat on their doors and tell them who they should vote for, and really want to stand over them. Not just in regular political elections, but also in elections for deciding whether people want to be unionized or not. And that's what these people do. It's all about intimidation tactics. It's all about misinformation. And America needs to wake up soon.
Absolutely. I'm proud to call this man my friend, President and CEO of Executive Management Services, and, of course, author of The Devil at Our Doorstep, and writes a great blog every week. Dave Bego, Indianapolis, Indiana. God bless you, my dear friend, and come back soon.
Well, thank you, Zev, and please keep up the good work out there.
I'll sure try. Thanks, Dave. I'll be in touch. Dave Bego in Indianapolis, and a very, very common sense approach to what we need to do and how we need to get it done. Thank you for being on the program this morning. Right now, I'm going to ask Gina. Poor Gina sits over there in that little cubicle and just waits to punch a button. May we please have the good word for Representative Steve Hartkin.
From City of Rocks to the Twin Falls County Fair, this Magic Valley of ours offers tremendous opportunity for Idaho citizens, but we have to work to keep it that way. Low taxes, limited government, responsible financial management. I'm Stephen Hartkin, Idaho House Republican, and I'm proud to represent your Idaho Republican values. I'm running for re-election this fall and ask for your vote on November 4th. I'm House Republican Stephen Hartkin, and I approve this message.
Thank you very much, Steve, and good luck to you. And by the way, for those of us that might have a little ding or maybe a muscle that's not working right, an arm that needs some therapy, whatever, I know the place. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. The best. I mean, I have been so happy to go over there and use the pool for the hydrotherapy on my leg. And believe me, Nick Greenwell, physical therapist, and all of his staff, they know sports medicine. They know the exercises. Friendly staff that absolutely is working to help you get back to being you. And they'll work with all the different insurance companies. They know how to make you feel better. Please get a hold of them today. Call and schedule an appointment at 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Absolutely essential for your feeling better. Oh my goodness, we got a lot of things to talk about. Coming up next hour, we've got a great author of a book called Victory Undone, Carter Andrus, and it's a story about the defeat of Al-Qaeda in Iraq and then the resurrection of ISIS. Don't forget, representative from District 25A, Maxine Bell, absolutely says the midterm election is next Tuesday, November 4th, and District 25 Representative Maxine Bell urges you to go vote. Our nation, and especially Idaho, needs people to exercise their voting privileges and be a voice. Vote on the 4th and be a responsible, patriotic American. This message paid for by District 25 Representative Maxine Bell, to the good folks of Jerome County and rural Twin Falls County, a proven leader for the Gem State. Woo, Gina, what a busy day. Are you still hanging in over there and hanging on?
Yes, I am. I'm bouncing back and forth between two rooms.
I noticed that a couple of times, and I can just see you wearing your Nikes out, burning them up on the floor over there.
Everybody's like, zoom, there goes Gina. Zoom, there goes Gina. Yeah.
Would you do me a big favor, and would we hear the word for HJR2?
You bet.
Thank you.
Vote yes November 4th for HJR2, a constitutional amendment to keep the power of Idaho governance with the people. Vote yes on HJR2 to limit executive power over you and your business. Vote yes on HJR2 to keep your legislators working for your needs, not special interest groups. Vote yes on HJR2 to preserve the voice of we the people for the state of Idaho. Vote yes on HJR2. Paid for by Representative Fred Wood, House Speaker Scott Bedke, and Senator Dean Cameron. Vote yes on HJR2.
Thank you very much. And right now, don't forget to Representative and Speaker of the House Scott Bedke, District 27, urges you to vote in the midterm election next Tuesday, November 4th. He is very concerned for Idaho and its growth and prosperity, and also for the future of the United States. And he urges you to vote on Tuesday, November 4th, and vote yes for the constitutional amendment HJR2, paid for by Representative and Speaker of the House Scott Bedke of Oakley, District 27. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios, and we'll be back in 3 minutes. Don't you go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Don't forget, Ramsey Heating and Electric can offer rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems. Whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at Ramsey Heating and Electric and find out more about Lennox at 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Really nice folks. Gina, could we please have another good word for our friend, Representative Steve Hartkin?
Were you calling for a spot, or did you?
I sure was.
I'm sorry, I'm on the phone. What do you need?
Could we please hear another good word for Representative Steve Hartkin?
From City of Rocks to the Twin Falls County Fair, this Magic Valley of ours offers tremendous opportunity for Idaho citizens, but we have to work to keep it that way. Low taxes, limited government, responsible financial management. I'm Stephen Hartkin, Idaho House Republican, and I'm proud to represent your Idaho Republican values. I'm running for re-election this fall and ask for your vote on November 4th. I'm House Republican Stephen Hartkin, and I approve this message.
Thank you very much, Steve, and also want to remind you about Jim Patrick, Senator from District 25, a local farmer that's been serving us in the legislature and doing a great job. And he says thank you to everybody that supported him, and he appreciates everyone, and he wants you to get out and vote next Tuesday, November 4th, and let your voice be heard. Senator Jim Patrick has a deep understanding of water issues and, of course, has farmed on the salmon tract for many, many years. He's the vice chair of the Commerce and Human Resources Committee and on the Agricultural Affairs Committee. And he reminds you again, vote next Tuesday, November 4th, paid for by Jim Patrick for Senator, District 25. Wow, busy time this morning, and right now let's go to the phone lines. And I've been very interested. I just received this book in the mail yesterday, and I got to tell you, folks, this is a must-read for me. I think it's going to be one of the better books that I've been sent in a long time. And the author of the book called Victory Undone, Carter Andrus, is with us on the phone. Good morning, Carter. How are you?
Good, Zeb. Great to be on.
Well, I'm excited about this book and the subtitle, The Defeat of Al-Qaeda in Iraq and Its Resurrection as ISIS. You know, the United States, according to you and many others, myself, we were doing very well in Iraq, only to give it to Obama and then basically give it away, and then along comes ISIS. How bad is the situation right now from what it could have been if we'd have stayed with our involvement in that area?
I mean, you know, what we're confronting right now, Zeb, is a terrorist state and safe haven in the heartland of the Arabian Peninsula on the threshold of Europe, with thousands of Western passport holders fighting with the jihadis. So, I mean, we're in a whole different threat situation than we were in 2011 when we withdrew the U.S. troops.
You know, Carter, when you studied for this book, and you were over there as a world-renowned military contractor, and I should back up just for a minute and let you explain to my audience, what did you do over there and define your job as a military contractor?
Yes, we reconstruction contractors. We built the a significant percentage of the Iraqi security services, infrastructure, training bases, and military facilities. We employed over 10,000 Iraqis, Shia, Sunni, Kurd, in this construction management program, and most of our work was done in the Sunni Triangle in such places as Fallujah and out on the Syrian border and in Mosul and other dangerous places during the war. And we accomplished over 90 contracts out of single default and $400 million worth of work in support of the U.S. mission in Iraq.
So, Carter, you have had firsthand knowledge, eyeball to eyeball, chin to chin with these people, and you know what's going on. Were you aware of the growth of this cancerous organization called ISIS? Were you aware of the power that they were assuming and the power that they now are controlling?
Well, I mean, my assessment is that ISIS is just a continuation of Al-Qaeda and bin Ladenism going back to 9/11. I mean, the present leader of ISIS, the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, is Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. And he was the leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq. And matter of fact, we had captured him and released him from military prison in South Iraq in early 2009. And he said, upon his release, that I'll see you in New York. So these are the same people we confronted on 9/11. And sure, we saw what was going on in Syria. You could see that. And then early this year, you saw them start to, operate in Anbar and Fallujah. But no one, envisioned they were going to sweep across the border as they have and seize, almost a third of Iraq. I mean, this is it was a shocker for all of us. But if you look back at the institutional weakness of the new Iraqi when we left them half-trained, it's not a complete surprise that they were able to do what they did in northern Iraq.
Now, you said when we left the Iraqis half-trained, and here again, your expertise, because you've been there and done that. You've worked with these people. Are the Iraqis able now, or with special training, are they able to fight for themselves, or are they a group that we've heard many, many times they'll cut and run?
Well, I think first of all, we have to put this in context, right? That this is not an internal insurgency. This is an external invasion out of Syria. And what we train the Iraqis in is counterinsurgency tactics, which are basically up-armored policing and with SWAT tactics thrown in. I mean, no one, we left them without an air force. We left them with no strategic defense. And none of us that were involved in standing up the Iraqi Security Service envisioned that the United States wouldn't be there if an external threat hit them. I mean, if you look back and you think about the analogy here is, if we left South Korea after the Korean War, 2 years later pulling all our military out, you can only imagine what would happen to South Korea, and I think we're seeing that with Iraq now.
Carter, I can't speak for you or anybody else. I'm just speaking for myself, and then correct me, but we supposedly were doing very well over there with the increase of the insurgency against the bad guys, and then all of a sudden we just basically decided to pull out of Dodge City and let the bad guys have it, and our victory went down the toilet. Why? I mean, this administration can't be that dumb or naive, is it?
Well, I think there was some fantastical thinking here, on everybody's part that somehow that Iraq was going to be able to stand on its own. And, we as Americans, we elected Obama, President Obama, on a platform that he was going to get out of Iraq and Afghanistan, and for all intents and purposes, end all war, in general. But we resisted, out of the White House, resisted, getting a remnant, a stay-behind force for the U.S. and Iraq, and I think that really damaged the ability for this, this just newly established democratic state, to really, protect itself in a real dangerous neighborhood.
Carter, this book, Victory Undone, when the person goes to the bookstore and buys this book and they read every page and follow your accounts of what happened over there, what do you want them to take away from the book when they get to the last page and close the cover? What's the message you want the reader to have from this book?
Well, first of all, I like to quote General Tommy Franks' endorsement of the book. He's the one that led the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq, one of the real iconic war leaders of American history, I believe. He says that it's solid history that reads like a thriller. So you're going to enjoy this. You're going to have a comprehensive understanding of our involvement in Iraq and its place in history from the Gulf War to today. And what I would like people to take away is really to take some strength in my experience there, to take some courage and heart in this. That, we were able to work with the Iraqis closely in extremely dangerous situations and in a positive way, building things together. I mean, over 90% of my workforce were Iraqis, 1,000 employees on average day, and they shared the risk with us and common purpose, common intent, and we can work together and be positive. And I think that's something that's hard to see in the news today, but that's been my experience, and I think we're going to have to draw from that because we're going to need to work together again here.
Carter, what about the book as far as locations are concerned? I'm assuming that it's at all major bookstores and the promotions are out now that people can pick it up almost anywhere. Is that correct?
It's sold in pretty much every place that sells books. Of course, you can always get it off Amazon or Barnes & Noble off their websites, but it's out there, and I think people enjoy it, and I think it's something critical. If you're going to read one book about the situation over there and walk away with a good understanding of what's happening, victory undone is it.
Let me ask you this, Carter, and I don't even know how to phrase this, but every day I watch the news, every day I hear news stories about that region. It seems like it's crumbling and falling apart faster than we anticipated. Is it, in your opinion, too far gone to salvage and we should just basically get out of Dodge City and leave it go? What are your thoughts about what can be done over there?
Well, I think, first of all, if we do fully disengage, which is always an option, right, it'll follow us home. I mean, the real reason for engagement over there came to us, with a serious blow on 9/11. And these people are not going to leave us be if we pull out. So we have to be engaged. I believe that we had the success that we had in the Iraq War still carries through, and that we completely alienated, the Al-Qaeda ideology, this extreme jihadi religious perspective. We alienated it from any kind of popular support in the Arab world. I mean, when the Arab Spring, which came by, I argue, comes directly out of our success in Iraq. Bin Laden was assassinated, during the beginnings of the Arab Spring, and no one in the Arab world rose up and said, this is a great martyr, and this was terrible to happen to him, because he had been lost in the conversation, because people realized when the Shia government was joined by the Sunni Arabs, who are Al-Qaeda, and turned on Bin Laden and his people, then they knew that there was no success for the Arab people in what Bin Laden stood for. And I think that carries over to today, right now.
Let me ask you this. I consider myself fairly well read and follow the news I have to every day on this program. But all of a sudden, it seems like, and correct me if I'm wrong, ISIS all of a sudden became very prominent. All of a sudden there was this horrendous black flag. All of a sudden with the black flag were the beheadings. All of a sudden were these 50,000 troops trying to invade Turkey, etc. This didn't happen overnight, did it? Or were we blind to the fact that they were that powerful?
Well, one of the reasons we're seeing it now, of course, is because they're in Iraq, and we have some visibility on Iraq. I mean, it's they obviously haven't taken over the entire country, and and Kurdistan is someplace there's a significant American presence in Kurdistan. Right on the border with with the ISIS and the newly established caliphate. What they were doing in Syria has been going on since late 2011, 2012, but because of the nature of the civil war that's going on there, we haven't had the kind of media visibility, and there was this wishfulness that they would be contained inside Syria, and so it was a shock, I think, for everybody concerned, and it was very rapid when they came across the border in June and basically seized, the third largest city in Iraq, and a city, Nineveh, mentioned in the Bible. I mean, it's not a surprise But it was a shocker, no question.
What about, and I'm at one more time for one more question here this morning, Carter. What about the lone wolf situation right now? ISIS seems to be endorsing the lone wolf attitude of going and creating terror, whether it's at the Canadian Parliament or whether it's here in the subway station in New York. How concerned are you as to these attacks becoming more prominent in the news every day?
Well, that's my chief concern for direct threat in the U.S. I mean, this is the reason why we can't contain, the jihadis and think that we're going to lead them to some safe haven, this caliphate they've established. I mean, we have to go after it. We have to take them out. And, and I think we can do that with, regional involvement and with U.S. air support, but we have to go in there and destroy these people. Otherwise, exactly what you're talking about, Zeb, they will inspire, lone wolf attacks, and then we'll see real terrorism attacks taking place in Europe and potentially in the U.S., which will really damage this ultra slow recovery coming out of the Great Recession. So I think it's a real threat to the U.S. if we allow the caliphate to continue on. There's no containing these people.
Final thought, if all of a sudden you were the number one advisor for President Obama and this administration, what would you look him in the eyes and tell him this morning to do more efficiently than what he's done so far in regards to terrorism?
Well, I think that we have to look at the Syrian and Iraqi battlefields as holistic, this artificial delineation of this border between the two countries. I've been there. It reminds me of Mars and, orange sand dunes. I mean, nothingness for hundreds of miles. I mean, this border's never been recognized by anything but, the French and the British during World War I. So we have to, in order to do that, we have to go after the dictator of Syria who really created the situation in the first place, al-Assad. And if we go after al-Assad and we destroy his military effectiveness, the Turks and potentially the Saudis will come in and provide ground troops and will occupy Syria, like Kosovo, with U.S. support. But not U.S. ground troops. But we do need special operators on the ground to direct the forward air power, the air power that we're so deployed more effectively. And we really need to stand up the training program for the Free Syrian Army, the moderate resistance, and reconstituting the Iraqi army. But we really need to bring the regional actors into play, and to do that, we have to go after al-Assad, the dictator of Syria.
Absolutely. I'm going to read the book and relish the book because it's absolutely interesting to me, your history and pictorial of what's going on over there. And I want to say thank you very much to Carter Andrus. The book is called Victory Undone, The Defeat of Al-Qaeda in Iraq and Its Resurrection as ISIS. Good luck, my friend, and I'll have you back in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeb.
You bet, sir. Thank you. Victory Undone. I'm holding a copy of the book right now, and it just came in the mail yesterday. And believe me, it's a book that I would consider a must-read as to how dangerous the situation is in the Middle East and also with ISIS right here in our country. Carter Andrus. Excellent book. Pick it up at all major bookstores today. Right now, I'm going to ask the lovely Gina, wait a minute, I smell smoke. Your shoes are burning from going from one room to the other. May I please have the good words for State Secretary Lawrence Denny and another good word for Steve Hartkin.
Idaho's right to vote is critical. We need a steady hand to guarantee that right against pressures from the federal government. Lawrence Denny is that steady hand. His hand served our nation in Vietnam. His hand tilled the soil in rural Idaho and made crucial decisions as Speaker in the Idaho legislature. Lawrence Denny knows our values. He can carry on the tradition as Secretary of State. Protect your right to vote with experienced hands. Vote Denny for Idaho Secretary of State.
Hey, Denny for Idaho, Rick Howard, Treasurer.
From City of Rocks to the Twin Falls County Fair, this Magic Valley of ours offers tremendous opportunity for Idaho citizens, but we have to work to keep it that way. Low taxes, limited government, responsible financial management. I'm Stephen Hartkin, Idaho House Republican, and I'm proud to represent your Idaho Republican values. I'm running for re-election this fall and ask for your vote on November 4th. I'm House Republican Stephen Hartkin, and I approve this message.
Thank you very much, Steve. And right now it's time for the weather. you know, Gina's really running back and forth over there punching buttons, and I'm going nuts here trying to get everything in, and we're so far succeeding, but wait till tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be another day. The weather this hour is brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome, 324-7657, selling taste one bite at a time. Don't forget they guarantee everything they sell, and everything is delicious at Scarrows Meats. Here now, Michael Rogers weather.
Hello, everyone. Michael Rogers is up at the ranch. Got a nice day for today. In fact, you got a lot of nice days until we get to Friday night. And there's a chance of snow on Sunday, but right now today is Wednesday, so let's get right to it for today. Sunny, 62 for the high. Partly cloudy, 41 for the overnight low. It'll be sunny tomorrow. 71 for the high, so warm up, and then the overnight low for Thursday night will be right around 43. Now, as you work your way towards the weekend, you'll still see another sunny day on Friday, and then as you work your way into the weekend, you're going to start to see some rain, and it's going to carry into Saturday, also Saturday night. Sunday night is a slight chance of rain and snow showers in our forecast. Other than that, I will keep you ahead on what's going on as far as the big S word coming towards the weekend, but enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Michael, thank you very much. Brought to everybody by our friends Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew at Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. They are selling taste one bite at a time. Oh, my Gina. Have you got just a minute to just kind of... You're meditating?
Yeah.
You know, you should see, I wish you could pan the camera on this desk with all the different commercials and all my log sheets and everything. It's not very well organized right now. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. You're going to be snide, and you're going to say, oh, why is now any different than before?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
You know, we love you, but we know you as well.
Well, you know, and Deanne is such a neat housekeeper.
She is, too. How she can keep up with you is beyond me.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm glad I asked you if you wanted to say a few words this morning.
Hey, you know, you ask, you shall receive.
But you know what? It's never been busier than this. I don't recall ever having all of this to do in one program. And like I said, tomorrow...
I don't even think last year we were this busy.
I know I wasn't. No, this is the best year I've ever had.
Yeah. Oh, a quick question.
Yeah.
What would you like, since really this is your show, and I always kind of do ad-libbing as far as the outro, and since it's been such a hectic day, I shall let you, the owner of the show, actually pick his own outro song.
How about, is there a song that has the word distressed in it?
You know, I've been looking for something like that, and no, I don't think so. Yeah.
No, I tell you what, just put down Good Old Boys. A couple of good old boys. Remember that song by, what was it, Joe and...
It was the theme. Are you talking about the theme song to Dukes of Hazzard?
No, it was, the song was called A Couple of Good Old Boys, and it was Mo Bandy and Joe Pitney, I think. And I know Mo Bandy co-wrote that song, and it was we're just a couple of good old boys. You don't have that one.
I don't have that one. I'll pick something.
Well, hey, by the way, I want to say tomorrow is what? Tomorrow night is Halloween Eve, is that right? No. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, whoa, wow, really? Already? I need to call pumpkins.
And you're going to come to the Halloween party at Denny's tomorrow for lunch bunch.
Mm-hmm. I will dress up all day as Wonder Woman.
You're going to sit at the studio all day dressed as Wonder Woman?
Why not?
Well, I guess after the job you've done trying to run back and forth and run all the commercials, you are Wonder Woman. What is that from?
I have no idea.
That comedian that runs the ventriloquism. Da-da-da-da, remember that guy? You've seen that, Jeff, not Foxworthy, but the guy that runs... Dunham, that's it.
Dunham.
And he's got that one character where he's Superman or acts like Superman, and he goes... Well, he's got Peanut, too. He's got 6 characters.
I don't think I've seen the one with the superhero.
Yeah, superhero, and he goes, da-da-da-da!
I'm going to have to look that up because I love Jeff.
Yeah, I can't remember what he calls that superhero.
Of course, you know who my favorite one was.
What?
Ahmed the Dead Terrorist.
Yeah, he was kind of naive about what kind of status his body was in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was so much funny, but yes.
Hey, listen, I've got one more word for HJR2 and then a word for Les Schwab, and you know what? I'll be caught up for the day.
Hey.
Hey, let's listen to it.
Vote yes November 4th for HJR2, a constitutional amendment to keep the power of Idaho governance with the people. Vote yes on HJR2 to limit executive power over you and your business. Vote yes on HJR2 to keep your legislators working for your needs, not special interest groups. Vote yes on HJR2 to preserve the voice of we the people for the state of Idaho. Vote yes on HJR2. Paid for by Representative Fred Wood, House Speaker Scott Bedke, and Senator Dean Cameron. Vote yes on HJR2.
All right, thank you. By the way, the character that Dunham has, he's got a great big huge nose and wears a cape. I can't think of the guy's name, the character's name, but he goes da-da-da-da. Anyway, if you can check on that, Gina, go ahead. Hey, big tire sale going on at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh my, the Terramax HT, the Wildcat AT2, Open Country AT2, Ultra Z900, and many, many, many more tires on sale for your cars, pickups, SUVs, whatever. They've got them on sale. Don't pass up this tire sale, along with the best in brake service and the best in shocks and struts and front end alignment. Yes, sir. Make sure your front end on the car is tracking right. Go on in there and they'll take care of it. The best in batteries. Boy, the weather's going to chill off and your battery might not start your car. Then you really got problems. You check it out today at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley. Yes, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Da-da-da-da! There you go.
Melvin the superhero guy.
Melvin the superhero. See, you thought I was wrong.
No, actually, a caller called in and I Googled it at the same time.
Yeah, and he's got a huge nose.
Yes.
Yeah, Melvin.
Yeah, the superhero guy.
I thought I better clarify who had the huge nose.
Melvin does.
Melvin does.
Melvin does.
It's been there since birth.
Because Ahmed doesn't have any nose.
No, Ahmed is just a pile of bones.
Yes.
And then there's, what are the other characters that he has?
There's Peanut. And then there's Walter.
Walter, the dirty old man.
Yes, he is a grump.
And Easy. There's a lot of things that Walter says and does that I can relate to.
That a lot of people actually can relate to. You've got a quick phone call right now.
Okay, quick call. Good morning, you're on the air.
Yes, I just remembered another guy that Jeff Dunham has. It's Bubba J.
Bubba J, the guy that lives in the trailer park. You're right. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that.
All right.
God bless you.
Have a good day.
Bubba J. You remember Bubba J, Gina?
I do not remember Bubba J, but I do remember Worm in the Tequila Bottle, and of course my favorite, what was it? Jalapeno. Jalapeno on a stick.
On a stick. Yes. Jalapeno on a stick.
Yes.
I love that. Anyway, we've really digressed. You know, we've been working way too hard, and it shows.
I think by tomorrow we will have lost our marbles.
I'm not even going to try to play the game. Anyway, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. God bless you all, and tune in tomorrow morning at 8:06. And Zeb at the Ranch, the way things were, the way things ought to be.